right into our world tonight. Movies new and old bring the screen alive. Every trailer, every twist and line. Lights come up and you're alone.
Welcome to episode 3 of Down the Rabbit Hole with Alexis. Each week we take a random actor from the credits in the last movie reviewed. Then we pick a random movie from their filmography. And that is the movie that we will review today. Mars Hunt Davis, who plays Dana Kennedy's brother in episode 3's A Journal for Jordan, led us to 2019's Tuscaloosa, the film we will review today. Tuscaloosa was Philip Harder's feature film directorial debut. Devin Bostick and Natalia Dyer star along with Mars Hunt Davis and Tate Donovan. It takes place during a very volatile time in American history, and nowhere more volatile than in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Billy Mitchell, a recent college graduate, falls for Virginia, who is in his father's mental institution. Billy's best friend Nigel, who is black, fights against the racist cops and other authorities. Billy is torn between running away with Virginia, staying to support his lifelong friends, and taking a respectable job and making his disappointed father proud. Now, let's break down this very interesting film. Introduction. What happens when forbidden love and mental health collide with racism, corrupt politics, and civil rights tensions in the Deep South? Tuscaloosa may look nostalgic on the surface, but underneath the warm lighting is a story about oppression and how gender, race, politics, and psychiatry shape who is entitled to freedoms and who is not. The film is set in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 1972. The country was emerging from the Vietnam War. Civil rights victories like the Voting Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act were now law, at least on paper. But violence and rebellion were still a reality. Violence over school segregation and the war, violence toward the government, and police brutality were all too common. The film places us in a world where institutions like mental hospitals, police, wealthy families, and patriarchal systems reinforce each other's power. In the following sections, we'll see how these forces collide in Tuscaloosa through an intersectional lens. Section 1, setting the stage. We meet Billy, privileged, young, white, college-educated, and the son of a prominent psychiatrist. Billy sees injustice, but he's insulated enough to ignore it. Then comes Virginia, a young woman institutionalized by her wealthy father, supposedly for her own good, but really it's because of her adult choices. Meanwhile, Billy's childhood friend Nigel joins a radical civil rights group, fighting police violence and systemic racism. The film refuses to separate these stories, the asylum, the romance, the activism, all part of the same machinery of social control. Oppression isn't compartmentalized in real life, and Tuscaloosa doesn't treat it that way on film. Section 2, gender, patriarchy, and power. Virginia's story shows how gender and psychiatry work together to enforce patriarchal norms. Historically, women who rebelled, sexually, socially, emotionally, were labeled unstable and locked away. Billy's father represents that authority. With his signature, he alone decides who walks free. He becomes judge, jury, and executioner. Virginia's madness is defined entirely by men. Her father, her doctors, even Billy's romanticized gaze. The film asks, can a real relationship exist when one partner is literally imprisoned? Power imbalance is the reason for laws against relations between prison guards and inmates, after all. The cinematography shows this juxtaposition. Warm close-ups show Virginia's vulnerability, while cold hospital walls remind us of her lack of autonomy. Hints of electroshock, lobotomies, and lifelong confinement reinforce the dark history of control. Punishments for women considered difficult, deviant, or simply inconvenient. Section 3. Race, civil rights, and the white moderate. Race is not background in Tuscaloosa, it's the political heartbeat. Nigel's activism shows the cost of resistance. As a black man in 1972 Alabama, even existing is political. Fighting back is dangerous. Virginia's and Billy's mother's stories add another intersection. Their status as wealthy and white isn't enough to protect them from interacting with non-whites. Virginia's father used the medical establishment to maintain racial order. Virginia's unborn interracial pregnancy was terminated without consent, and the psychiatric hospital was used to police patriarchal standards of womanhood by locking her away. By doing so, he ended her relationship and could have encouraged the doctor to do far worse. Billy's mother and the black maid with whom she ran away fared far worse. The patriarchy and police state combined to carry out a state-sanctioned execution for the crime of being in an interracial LGBTQ relationship. Billy, meanwhile, embodies the white moderate Dr. King warned us about. He has the privilege to look away. He also has the freedom to ignore boundaries, to move around and associate with his friends. Hanging out with Nigel at his restaurant is fine for Billy. The wealthy white man. These privileges flow one way. Virginia, his mother, and Nigel do not share them. The asylum, the segregated town, the police, the medical establishment, all become metaphors for these boundaries. Section 4, Medicine is social control. The question is never, is Virginia ill? The real question is, who gets labeled ill and why? Historically, psychiatric labels targeted non-conforming women, people of color, activists, LGBTQ identities, anyone challenging authority. The hospital functions like a tiny authoritarian state. Billy's father uses the same logic as local police. Control the vulnerable, silence dissent, pathologize rebellion. Virginia's instability often looks like a sane response to an insane system. Section 5, where it all intersects. Everything overlaps. The asylum mirrors segregated Alabama. Hierarchical, surveilled, justified through pseudoscience. Nigel's activism parallels Billy's awakening, showing how personal and political liberation are intertwined. The romance itself breaks rules around class, desire, medical ethics, and power. Visually, the film reinforces the divide. Billy's world, warm and nostalgic. Nigel's and Virginia's, cold, restricted, dangerous. Same world, different lived realities. Section 6, conclusion. Tuscaloosa isn't about romance, it's about unequal freedoms. It asks, who gets to rebel, who gets institutionalized, who gets romanticized, who gets punished, and who defines sanity? The film reminds us, private lives are never separate from public systems of power. Like Billy, we're all choosing between comfort and conscience. Outro. What other intersectional angles do you see in Tuscaloosa? And if the story took place today, how would those dynamics change? For our next movie, ChatGPT chose 4 and 3. Actor 4, Tate Donovan. Billy's father, the doctor. Movie 3, Ghosted. Cole and Sadie's second date is about to become explosive. The world needs saving. And unbeknownst to Cole, Sadie is the secret agent called on to save it. Thanks for watching my review of Tuscaloosa. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next showtime, and I'll see you down the rabbit hole.
Jump right into our